everybody. Welcome to another daily devotion. Good to have you with us today. Today's Saturday. We launch these on Saturdays because Saturday is a good day to rest, relax, take a little extra time to just exhale, right? And to breathe a little bit. And I wanted to dive in today to a little verse in Matthew. And we hit this up on our Bible study in our membership area a couple of weeks back, and it kind of, I remember we were going through it, me and Jeff, and we were supposed to start the Bible study on Matthew 18, verse 7. And then we got so deep into verse 7 that we were like, oh, I guess we could just stop right there, but we decided to keep going. But verse 7 of Matthew, it says this, and I'll read a couple of different translations because each one of them has their own little nuance to it that I find interesting, right? But before we begin, I hope you're doing well today. I hope things are good. I hope that this week, even though it might have been a little crazy, is winding down okay. And we're going to talk about stumbling today, okay? All of us stumbled this week. And that's just part of the world that we live in. Jesus is going to tell us this right here. So let me just dive into this. But I just want you to know that if you stumbled this week, it is okay, right? It's okay. Here's a couple of different translations of this verse. NIV says, "Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come!" Exclamation point. Okay, the NASB says, "Woe to the world because of its stumbling blocks. For it is inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to the person through whom the stumbling block comes." And then the New Living Translation says, "What sorrow awaits the world because it tempts people to sin. Temptations are inevitable, but what sorrow awaits the person who does the tempting." So, a little bit of context here. Jesus had just come, so in Matthew 18, 1 through 6, Jesus began this chapter by stating that his disciples need to be like little children, right? Both to enter the kingdom of heaven and to be great in it. He was describing holding on to a childlike faith and humility instead of relying on one's own goodness, right? Our own skill or our own achievements. That was kind of just a quick synopsis, kind of a wrap up of Matthew 18, 1 to 6. Now, once we get into verse 7, he's begun to basically describe the disciples, those who believe in him, as children or little ones. We are all children of God. We're all little ones of God, right? From God's perspective, even the most experienced are still like little children, right? Jesus has spoken of them with harsh and protective language, warning of judgment for anyone who would cause one of his little ones to fall into sin. Harsh language. Woe to you. Jesus uses one of the familiar words of the Old Testament prophets often used when describing God's judgment, right? So this is a truly judgmental word. Woe. Woe on the world for temptations to sin. Those stumbling blocks it puts in the way of believers in Jesus to trip them up into sin. Judgment will come for them. Jesus adds that temptations they're necessary. They're here, right? There's no way around it. So as I started this off, like if you stumble this week, it's okay, right? Like the world has its share of stumbling blocks. Just look at culture. Look at everything that we're surrounded by, right? Sometimes you have to do a little bit of an audit of stuff in your life. I remember I did a devotion, maybe it was last summer, and part of it was just like, hey, take an audit of what you let into your life, what you let into your heart, what you let into your mind, right? What you're watching, what you're reading, the people you surround yourself with. All of these things can be defined as stumbling blocks, right? I mean, just think about it. Think about what trips you up, what frustrates you. What do you say at the end of the day? Man, I wish I hadn't done that. Boy, I wish I could just take that back, right? Gossip? Words? Is it a situation that you find yourself in quite often? Can you avoid that situation? Is it the people that surround you? Are they the ones that help kind of initiate this tempting behavior? I don't know. I can't answer it for you. I know what it is for me. We're not going to get into that though. This isn't a therapy session for me. It's for all of us just to think a little bit about what trips us up, and then how do we get that out of our life, right? What temptation draws you away from Jesus? What temptation / sin draws you away from Jesus? Jesus adds that such temptations are necessary. He does not mean by this that God is directly causing his little ones to experience temptation to sin. That's not what this is about. He seems to be saying that temptation to sin is part of living in a world that is full of sin, right? This world is fallen. We know that this world is fallen. So this is part of the deal. We live here in the world, honey, sorry, you're going to have issues. You're going to have trouble. It's just the way it is. You're going to have temptation and there's going to be sin here. But Jesus, right? Facing temptation may be unavoidable for Christians, but those who lead them into sin will face God's painful judgment. Two other things. Hold on, before I get into that, right? There's two other things that Jesus isn't saying, but a couple more things about this. So the first woe is a cry. We spoke about this in the Bible study. The first woe is a cry of pity for a world in danger of offenses, right? So this world has offenses. There's no way around it. There's temptation here. There's sin here. All of this stuff. The second woe is a warning to the one who brings or introduces that evil to others, right? We don't want to be the one that leads someone astray. That's not what this is about. Woe to the man by whom the offense comes. We live in a fallen world. It is inevitable that sin and hurt and offenses come. Yet, the person who brings the offense is guilty before God and has no excuse. Man, this teaches us that we can let go of the anger and the bitterness for what people have done against us. And I read this the other day in the Bible study, and I stopped because I hadn't read this before we started teaching on this. And it leads me to many, many, many different thoughts. But the main one is, it teaches us that we can let go of the anger and the bitterness for what people have done against us. So think about anger and bitterness in your life, the grudges that you're holding, okay? The people that you can't seem to forgive, the people that just continually seem to get in the way of fill in blank, your walk with God, your walk with your friends, whatever it is, right? There's anger and bitterness there. But what this is saying to us is that we can let go of that anger and bitterness. Just give it to God. It's easier said than done. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying like, oh man, Dave, incredible. Like, okay, here we go. I can let go of my anger and my bitterness. That's not what I'm saying here, okay? If it were that easy, it would be that easy. It's not. But the explanation leads us to this conclusion. Jesus is saying, woe to the world because of its offenses, and woe to those who cause you to stumble. So the anger and the bitterness that we feel towards people that cause us to stumble, we can let go of that because God promised to deal with those people, to deal with those by whom the offense comes. You understand? You get it? Does that make sense? So a lot of us that are hanging on to bitterness, that are hanging on to anger, just let it go. Just let it go, right? It's not worth keeping inside. Just let it go. If God promises to deal with those who offend his own, it shows that he defends and protects his own, right? He is defending you. He's defending me. He's defending us. He protects us. This teaches us that in Jesus, no other person can wreck our life. If they bring offense in our life, God will deal with them, but not forsake us in time or eternity. So, I said this the other day. Look, and for those of you that watched that Bible study or are a part of it, like, listen to this again. It's okay to hear this again, okay? It's okay. But Jesus, no other person can wreck our life, right? In Jesus, no other person can wreck our life. Think about that, what that means for a minute. If they bring offense in our life, God will deal with them, but not forsake us in time or eternity. So, let it go. Maybe this the title of this devotion is just going to be "Let It Go," okay? Because it's something that we need to just kind of think about. I don't think about this often enough. Like, who am I struggling with? Like, who can't I forgive? Is there some deep-seated, I don't know, anger or bitterness that I feel towards somebody that I'm really having a tough time letting go of? Jesus is telling us right here, we will have temptation. There will be sin. But let God deal with it, not us. We talked about taking the high road, right? Always take the high road. Always. Always take the high road. It's the better way to go. We just see in our world over and over and over again how when people take that low road and get stuck up in the mire and the quicksand and just everything that pulls us down, taking that low road and really, going for it, it pulls us down even further. There's example after example. I don't want to get into this because that's a form of gossip and I don't want to get into that. But take the high road. When there's an offense, when there's an issue, take the high road. Okay? Let go of the anger and the bitterness. Two of the things that Jesus is not saying here. He's not saying it's necessary for Christians to give into temptation, right? He's not saying that, hey, it's okay. Like, temptation's going to be here, it's okay. Give into it. He's not saying that. Temptation to sin may be a fact of life for believers, but giving into it is always avoidable. And I have to go back and reference 1 Corinthians because it's really, really important. Okay, so 1 Corinthians 10:13 says this. I'm going to read out of the NIV. Hang on one second. Okay, so when we say temptation to sin may be a fact, but giving into it is always avoidable. Okay, so 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. Okay? He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will give you a way out so that you can endure it. Right? Look, we fail in this regularly. Okay? Paul is definitely telling us, hey, temptation's here, but God is faithful. He will give you a way out. But do we always take the way out? No, we don't. We give into it all the time. Right? Maybe part of this is just thinking about when that temptation comes, how do I get out of it? Like there's 3 steps. Maybe there were 2 steps before. Temptation arrives, I give into it. Now there's a 3rd step that we're trying to put into the middle. Okay? Temptation arrives, how can I get out of it? Right? And actually, okay, 2 steps. Temptation arrives, how do I get out of it? Okay? Because if you think about how to get out of it and then give into it anyways, the process has failed. Temptation arrives, how do I get out of it? Go this way. It's better than temptation arrives, I give into it and go this way, right? Like that's just not the way we want to play this. God has told us that every temptation that arrives, we will be able to leave. Again, easier said than done. Easier said than done. But Temptation to sin may be a fact of life for believers, but giving into it is always avoidable, right? Dive into 1 Corinthians 10:13. Second, Jesus is not saying that believers who sin, who stumble, are lost to him, right? He's not saying that at all. They can get up and continue to follow after him. That is the beauty of the love and the grace and the mercy of God, right? Grace is this, okay, I'm just going to look it up because I never want to mess up this definition, but grace, undeserving favor, right? Undeserving favor of our Father. It is understood by Christians to be a spontaneous gift from God to people. Generous, free, totally unexpected, and undeserved. It's like making a mistake. What was the example I gave the other day? Oh, all right. Making a mistake, and then you get a cookie, right? Or you get a bowl of ice cream. Takes the form of divine favor, love, clemency, and a share in the divine life of God. So, yes, temptation. Okay, sin. Does it mean that we should go after temptation and sin? No. That is not what this is about. But when the temptation arrives and we do end up giving into it, or we do give into it, we fall. We get up. Jesus still loves us, still cares for us, still wants us, right? So many of us get wrapped up in that. I've sinned, there was temptation, I fell, that's it. But that's not it. That's not the end of the story. God continues to write the story. So today, yeah, temptation is here. Yeah, sin is here. God hates temptation, hates sin, because that distracts us from who God is. So today, focus in on those places or things or websites, whatever it is, that cause you to be tempted or sin. And then find a way to stop them. Find someone to be accountable to, right? You know, a friend, a family member, a spouse, right? Find somebody to be accountable to. But today, this temptation doesn't mean that Jesus doesn't love us. Because he clearly states there will be temptation. No way around it. But God is with us. Amen? But Jesus. Okay? Work on this. It's not easy. This is not an easy one. But we can get there together. All right? If you need prayer on this, go to our membership site, post a prayer in the prayer wall, and we'll pray for you. Okay? If you're not on our member site but you still need prayer, just shoot me an email back here, or just comment below in the comments here on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching this. And we'll pray for you. Yeah, we'll pray for you. If you need help, let us know. We'll find a way to help you out. All right? Or send you to someone who can help you. Okay? Man, there's a lot in this little verse. And we dug, there's more to it inside that Bible study, but I wanted to at least touch base just a little bit on this and talk a little bit about it, because there's a lot to this. So today, live in the grace of the Father, because he's walking with us. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to be a part of our membership, join us. Head over to joindaysband.com. We've got incredible Bible studies, incredible worship. We've got written devotions, over 1,000 written devotions, over 100 video devotions. Just so much inside of our member area. We've got a community of people coming together to learn more about Jesus every single day. And with our membership, with the fee that you pay every month, it supports me and the work that we're doing together. But it also supports helping us sponsor a child, giving a kid food, clothing, clean water, and healthcare. So we're a community we're not going to stop. Okay, we're going to keep going because God has called us into this. So today, join us. Head over to joindavesband.com. Use the code, hey, I'll give you a discount code as a thank you. Use the code 25OFF forever. That'll give you 25% off of whatever membership level you join at. And can't wait to see you in there. I really encourage you to join. It's such an important part of so many people's lives, and we're seeing it change lives, and we're seeing friendships being formed. It's been absolutely amazing. So, thank you. Head over to joindavesband.com to get started. And today, okay, temptation, yeah, sin, yep, it's all here. It's in the world. It is a part of the world that we live in. But Jesus, okay? Thanks, guys. We fall down, we get up. So today, lift yourself up. Let's keep going. All right, thanks so much. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.